It is Greg Milby, Kentucky's Heartland, kentuckysheartland.com. We welcome you into our small business spotlight. We're shining the spotlight today on our friends in downtown E-Town at Running Souls. Madeline Rivera, Will Rivera, downtown business that, how many years you guys been in business now? How many years have we been?
We're going on, this is our sixth year.
6 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
So you started out over off of Ring Road in Miles, and then you moved downtown, I'm guessing 3 years ago? I remember that because I bought the first pair of shoes when you opened.
Yeah,
just
you were
saying.
Our first customer.
I'm the first customer in the downtown.
I have a picture.
I do too. I'm going to pull that up when you guys have like your 20th or something like that. Maybe I'll get a discount or something on a pair of shoes. So let's start this deal. How does a guy from Puerto Rico decide to open a running store in Elizabethtown, Kentucky?
Well, Kentucky's just like Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, exactly. We have Puerto Rico weather at least a couple of weeks a year. Outside of that,
it's like we fell in love. But obviously, we landed here because of the military. I retired 24 years. This happened to be my last assignment, and so obviously, like anybody else, retiring from the military, what's next? So when we looked at the opportunity and what we wanted to do, we looked at the opportunity into kind of like running is one of those that I love doing, and there was a need in town to do it, and that's how kind of like the seed was planted. All
right, Maddie, were you on board right away, or was something you're like, okay, hold on a second, a running store in Elizabethtown, Kentucky? It didn't at that time probably didn't seem like the mecca of running. Did you think he was crazy?
Yeah, I did. I was like, really? And here? I was thinking we were, after retirement, we were going to move on, to do something else. But that's what he wanted to do. He loved shoes. He loved running. And he just was sticking to it. And here we are.
And so you started the idea before you even retired. You were still active duty as you were starting to get some things together and lining it out?
Definitely. It started in Chicago when we were stationed there, and I was doing my duties there, and there was a trend over there, all these long distance running that was taking place in Chicago, and I'm like, I never imagined that, because before that we were in Florida, so there wasn't as much running down there as I saw when we moved to Chicago, and obviously, my background in running, I ran in high school, and through the Army, I always ran, but never long distance stuff, and it wasn't until I got to Chicago, and then I kind of like invested in running my first marathon. So I did my first marathon in 2009, which,
Chicago
this year, Chicago Marathon. And this year is my 10-year anniversary for that. But, I started getting into running more and more. And obviously, that led me to a running store. And I connected to that. I was like, okay, so there's running. I love running, but I didn't know about a running store back in 2009. So I walked in, they greeted me and kind of like, okay, I think I could do this maybe or whatever, so. But fast forward, I learned so much when I did my marathon over there, and then transitioned more into when I came here, kind of like the running kept going while I was in the military. So, when you're in the military, you're all about helping kind of like soldiers, right? Guiding them and giving direction, motivation. So that whole kind of like evolved into kind of like helping more and more. I was like, okay, I could also do that, when I retired from the military. So I want to not only continue running, but I also would like to help people. So that's kind of like and being in recruiting as well, that really helps, because when you're selling the Army, you become good at it. And if I could sell something people can't see, I know I can sell a shoe. So connecting the dots is kind of like one of those. And Maddie always gave me the eye. I was like, you sure? I was like, this is what I want to do, so. And
being the lady she supported you, and it is, It has been something that's been unique, because it's not, was this a unique business model for you? Did you say, this is how I want to do a running store, it's totally different from everybody else? Or did you find a running store somewhere that you kind of wanted to model after?
It was a combination of two things. Basically, I wanted to create my own style when it comes to not only a place that people will come in to obviously buy a shoe, but more into, I wanted to make this an experience. People will come in, get the quality product, but also get the service through learning how to run, and maybe learning how to take that first step to get out the door and meet that goal, whatever that goal is. And then obviously the experience piece, you know what I'm saying, would be having something that the community can come to, and, you know what I'm saying, participate in group runs and clinics and all that.
And so let's talk about that a little bit too, because it's not just a running store. It's not where you come in and you buy shoes and you buy socks and you buy some sunglasses and some other items that's running related. It is a community, and it is you build your base off of runners, but this running community has blossomed over the last few years, and I think a lot of it has to do with the Tuesday, Thursday run group. Talk about that a little bit. How important is that to your business, having an active run group that stays active in this area?
It's huge. I mean, that was one that it took us a while. I still remember to this day the first group run. I'm still got that photo. It's like 3 or 4 of us. We knew there was a community here in town, but it was just spread out. It was like all over, you know. So obviously myself, I had to be out there, you know what I'm saying, and knocking on doors and, you know, being in gyms and being the face of, you know, who I was, you know what I'm saying, through my running clinics. I think I conducted maybe 20 clinics a month, you know, just getting my face out there, you know what I'm saying, telling people, you know what I'm saying, the story, my story through running and injuries, and then I learned how to run and learn about footwear. But all this took place before I even opened the running store. Just to kind of get the word out there. And then at that point, we figured, you know what I'm saying, there's a need for the community to just bring the community together in that sense. So when we first conducted our first group run, it was like 3 or 4 of us, but then the word got out about what we're doing. We started getting some local clubs, you know what I'm saying, started joining our group runs. And then Maddie started leading the Tuesday nights, which is more of that beginner level.
Yeah, we started with the Thursday. And we were for about 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Just the Thursday, and then we incorporated the Tuesday for. It was intended for the walkers, to people, you know, trying to get started. Maybe somebody doing like a couch to 5K. You know, it was more of an encouraging group to start with walkers and then eventually start running. So, and that led into the group being bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it became just our regular Tuesday, Thursday
that
group
was
run.
our big. I mean, when Maddie took over that Tuesday, and we, you know, the word got out that we're just not runners, because a lot of people were intimidated about, oh, these guys just only run fast. They only need runners. They want runners. It wasn't the case until we start changing our mindset, and Maddie started leading her walking and beginner group, and then all of a sudden we started seeing, whoa, this is we're starting to get a lot more people now, all levels.
And that's the one thing that I've noticed a lot is you do have folks that walk. You have people that run. You have people that walk. And you can decide on any given night who you want to run with. And, you know, what kind of pace you want to do, if you want to be challenged, if you want to kind of lay back a little bit. But it is an inviting group, and it's designed for everybody. It's not designed just for the elite runners, the fast runners in this area. It's designed for somebody that wants to get in and run. Because I think, to me, when I first started running, that was one of the more intimidating things I had to deal with. Was I ran in high school, and I was a lot faster then, but I took a 23-year break between running. But when you come back in, you can just put shoes on and run, but you can really get into it and really focus on a form and focus on your nutrition and focus on your training. So you can get in deep, and it's good to have people around that can help you do that.
Most definitely. You know, and one thing that we speak a lot to everybody is just like, you know, just getting the body moving. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. You can run, obviously, but, you know, we encourage a lot of people just, you know, walk, swim, bike. As long as you're out there moving your body, that's the key to beginning, you know what I'm saying? Anything that you want to do to stay, you know, fit and healthy. So, yeah, it's the whole movement approach that we kind of like speak a lot about. And that's really taken off because a lot of people now associate kind of like, okay, got it. I could come walk with the group, and we have seen in the 5 years how everything has evolved. Because, I mean, when we started, we only have 5. Now, any given night, we have at a minimum, even if, depending on the weather, if it's crazy, we still get 20 or 30 crazies who's come out, you know, a lot of commitment there. But the unique stories that we have evolved, you know what I'm saying, people that, you know what I'm saying, went from walking a mile to running 100 miles, you know, Kelly Tipple, perfect example. There's so many unique stories that, you know, we have seen and evolved, which for me is the reward of the hard work in the last 5 years, and it's going to continue to happen.
Yeah,
So.
and it kind of becomes a family too, because you get that accountability group. Once it gets to that accountability group, it takes that next level to where it kind of goes into a family. Then there's a difference between being held accountable and having somebody in your family tell you, hey, you're kind of slacking off a little bit, or hey, you look like you're having some issues. What can we talk about? So that is great. And so for somebody that wants to learn running and wants to be challenged and be pushed, you can definitely come down on Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 6 and get that. Maybe eventually get to ring the PR bell and that. So we encourage you to come out and be a part of that run group. But it all boils around the products you guys have in here, and it's just not running shoes. You actually carry some stuff for swimming. Actually, a lot of your triathlon stuff. How did that? Is that because you did a triathlon once, and now that Maddie's a triathlete, are we going to see more? So is that why you added some of that stuff here?
We listened to our customers, and there was a need for kind of like swim gear, and that's one thing we do here. I mean, I just don't bring stuff here. I mean, we listen to our customers, and then you guys should bring this and bring. I mean, so we always getting that feedback, and based on that, then we can kind of like see what the community needs. But swimming is one of those that we wanted to bring some swim gear, some swim caps, goggles. So we have kind of like the essentials. But Maddie recently had been swimming a lot more and more, and we'll see what that journey leads to. So,
at the point that we're videoing this, Maddie just finished her first triathlon over the weekend. So she's kind of questioning herself right now still, but that's great. And stepping into that, we'll go back to talking more about the products, but this gives us an opportunity to kind of go into you guys a little bit, because it's a unique situation, because you own the store, but you guys still, you're competing all the time. And Maddie, I know now that you've really started doing even more runs, it seems like, but I think people in this area, in the Heartland, they don't realize the level of athletes we have around here. We have Major League Baseball players. We've had people that played the other professional sports. But on the running level, ultra running has become the new thing. It's getting big, and you've run some of the biggest races in the world.
Yeah,
and have done very well. I think you were the top American finisher this last year at Spartathlon.
Spartathlon, yeah, that was in Greece, 153-mile race.
So say that again. How many miles?
153 miles from Athens to Sparta. Yeah.
And there's a lot of stories behind that. We could do a whole show just on that, because I think there was a Category 1 hurricane during your run.
Yeah. And that unique thing about ultras is that, you get to do these things and you don't have a clue what's going to happen. I mean, obviously you're out there for so long, but I mean, yeah, we had a hurricane, what I'm saying? There's one, and, obviously Greeks are so crazy, they're not going to stop the race from happening. So yeah, you might, they briefed us, what I'm saying? You might have some windy conditions, some weather and rain. And I was like, okay, so, yeah. But luckily, if you were fast enough, you were able to kind of like avoid most of that stuff. So I was lucky in that sense, but yeah, it was an extraordinary experience for sure.
And what I think is crazy about that, it's 135 miles, and you've got a lot of these elite runners come in with 6 and 7 member crews where they're crewing them. All right, you got a chiropractor, you got a nutritionist, you've got a doctor, you've got a driver. So you go over to Greece to run the Spartathlon this last year, and you take a crew of one. A crew of one.
That's all I need, yeah.
One.
She did awesome. I mean,
and you had not driven a stick shift.
I was the driver, the nutritionist, the chiropractor, everything. It was an adventure.
I would say so.
I was focused. I had everything I needed.
And you'd never driven a stick shift at all, and so they had to find you a special vehicle out here.
It was hard to find an automatic car for sure. Yeah, I had to pay a little bit more.
I wanted an automatic because in Greece the streets are very tiny, very narrow. There's mountains. I had to go up a mountain with a tiny car.
Plus, there's a lot of hills. Yeah,
there's a lot of hills. So I said, no, I need an automatic.
Yeah. Now, when we have ultra races or events around here, I think the general public kind of just overlook it. They don't understand it. They don't see it. They see some crazy people running in the woods with water packs on or something. But in Greece and some of these other countries, these are
Oh, yeah.
are huge community events. I mean, like
Definitely.
whole towns come out
Yeah.
to celebrate these runners.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
huge. Yeah, I mean it's kind of like a Olympic type of feel when you do this race. It's one of the hardest races to finish, first of all. But what because every country is represented. So you get the Japanese, you get the Brits, you get the French team, you get the Brazilian team. You got them all, and we're placed on these hotels, which are kind of like the Olympic Village. So you get to meet all these international runners from everywhere, and it's such an amazing experience just to get to know these guys. You eat with them. You get to see, what they use, what kind of footwear they're using. Myself being a running guru, I have to stay on top of that. Now I'm like, these guys do not use any of the products we sell in the United States. I mean, it's all different. So, and that shows you, everybody has their own way of doing things, and especially in the ultra community, on these races, you got to see what works for you. There's not a cookie cutter approach to running ultras. Everybody has their own nutrition, hydration plans and gear that they use. So in that sense, I really enjoy watching and running along those guys to see, this guy's right next to me. There's a reason why. So I want to learn as much as I can when I do these races from all these guys.
Yeah, which I think is crazy. The guy that you were competing with, that you were neck and neck, had a 7 or 8 member crew and doctor and nutritionist and all that stuff. And you get to the aid station and they come in like a NASCAR pit crew, changing everything on him. And here's your wife.
I get to the aid stations and they had the whole table, chairs, and here I am with his stuff, just standing, waiting in the rain.
John Olsen is an accomplished. I mean, he was world champ on the 24-hour distance for Team USA in the world. I mean, so the guy was, and I'm with this guy in mile 100, and we're, he's having issues, and I'm having a good time, and I'm telling him, yeah, I mean, I got the best crew that I could have, and it's like, who is it? I mean, how many you have? It's just my wife. And he's like, "You keep moving, man. You're doing really well."
He folded. He's
He's like, "Okay, this guy's."
So, how did you get into running ultras? Because running a marathon is one thing. I know there are only so many people ever run a marathon, and it is a challenge. But when you step up and you run an ultra, that's a totally different thing. It is actually a totally different mindset.
Yeah. So through my journey, as I was getting my running certifications, running coach. I came across Danny Dreyer, which is a chi running guru, and that's how, therefore, I got my certifications through him. But it was through him that I learned a lot about the whole mindfulness type of running. And one thing with his background, he at his young age for him back in the 80s in San Francisco, he went straight to ultras. When ultras was like an underworld, nobody knew about him. This guy was doing it at a high level, and that kind of like struck with me. With my military background and. I like to do things, at my age now, it's not about how fast, it's more just the challenge is now is how far I can go. And that kind of like strokes some interest in me. So when I started learning that, there's races that you could be out there in the woods, and they're feeding you and everything is well marked and you can go out there for hours at a time. I was like, that struck an interest in me. And then therefore it kind of like led into more just going longer. And now at this point, it's more into finding those unique races because there's a lot of them now.
Yeah.
There's so many. There's even one locally right here in Falls 100. But there are growing. It's a growing. So what I've been doing is kind of like targeting these because I won't be able to do this forever. So what I've been doing is kind of like targeting these toughest ones that are out there just so I can have a shot and maybe doing the best I can in these races. So that's evolved. And Maddie always kind of like motivates me. Okay, you should go for that hard one. And I was like, okay, so let's apply for them. Because some of these races, you got to apply for them and you got to get in lotteries and just so difficult to get in these days.
Well, the crazy thing about this is now it's not just one person in the family that has stepped up to do ultras. Maddie is now, you're bit by the bug. Why you? Why have you extended from the distances you were doing to now want to do 50K and 100K and eventually I'm sure 100-miler? I mean, why the change?
Let me tell you, running has changed my life tremendously. I was never a runner like he was, never. I ran my first run here with the group run, and it took me a while because Will would tell me, you should go out with the group, and I felt very intimidated. like, oh no, I don't think I can. He took me to run a 5K one time, and it was miserable. I cried. I was like, no, never again. And then after that, I mean, I just started meeting people. I think in running, for me, I just enjoy the social part of it, of all the people that I have met. I've made good friends and just been inspired and motivated by many of them. And just little by little, I've been, okay, I'm ready for another challenge. I could do this. And with his help, of course, he's my number one coach. And when it comes to running, and that's how I have gone into ultra running, just having that mindset that, okay, you can do this.
And that's what I like about it too, about running, is it's really an ultra race. For some people, it is you racing other people, because you could win your age group. But really and truly, to me, you're running against yourself.
Right.
Because when you get to a certain distance, the only person that can tell you no is yourself. And I think it is all up here. And I think people, it's not about the speed. And I know sometimes we get caught up on how fast you're going, and you want to be faster, you want to do this, you want to do that. But it's amazing to see people that are running, and as they progress, how their mindset changes to a lot of things in life.
Yeah, I'm not in it to win it. I'm doing this for me. It has brought so many good things. So I'm just enjoying it, having fun, and just ready for whatever comes next, whatever.
So if somebody's watching right now and they're like, okay, all right, it's that time, I really want to start running. It's intimidating because you come in here and there is a wall of shoes in here. How do you get them started? Either one of you. I mean, what do you do? What do they need to know? What do they need to do?
Definitely. So our philosophy is more quality, the service, and the experience. So, I mean, we try to live by those three key principles at our store. So when somebody walks through our doors, the first thing we want to do is get to know that person, that customer that really, needs something. So getting to know that customer as much as we can so we can provide them that product is going to be the central key. But if we don't ask those key questions, about goals, whatever those are, if it's to lose weight, if it's used to get back to running, if it's to qualify for Boston, if it's to run 100 miles, whatever that goal is, we want to know it, because that's going to make a huge difference in our kind of moving forward. And then what we do is from there is once we get to know you, we know your history about injuries. We'll scan your feet. We have a 3D kind of like digital scanner, which gives us a lot of data about your feet, your pressure points, your arch type, pronation axis. We also have a fancy treadmill that we'll put you in just to confirm pronation, supination. All this data we take, and then we come to the wall and we kind of start putting shoes. So if you look at behind us, our shoes are classified by certain categories. We got neutral, we got stability. And those will be essential, if, we have a maximum cushion shoe, if you're doing longer runs or you had a hip problem or knee problems. And we also have something a little bit thinner if you're just into racing, shorter races, or you want to go faster. And also we have the good walking shoes too. So this is one of those that as doctors are recommending us more and more these days. We want to put a shoe that's going to keep, that whatever that, that customer is healthy, but also maybe a custom orthotic that will be able to fit inside that shoe as well.
Yeah, and there's a little bit for anybody. If you're dealing with plantar fasciitis, if you're just a walker, if you're somebody that on your feet all the time, it's not just a running store. Yeah. You've got things that are going to take care of people's feet.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And Maddie's got, Maddie's been a great asset for the store. Her with her medical background, her being a registered nurse, she has, without even her knowing, she has brought so much to the store now, because her expertise now are, rolled into kind of like getting to know the customers and recommending that shoe and that footwear and the orthotic. We have pretty much developed a good relationship with most of the podiatrists and physical therapists in town. So they all know that we have the good quality products, that when people come in, they expect that service, that product, and also the experience.
All right, you need to come down and see them. They can explain all this stuff to you all day long on this camera, but the best thing is come down and let them see you, let them scan your feet. It's amazing. It tells you a lot of stuff about it. I don't know what those numbers mean, but you guys do. They're going to put you in a good quality shoe, and Tuesdays and Thursday nights, the run groups at 6 o'clock, I can't encourage people enough to come down and see what that's all about. During the summers, it is a blast because we have so many people downtown. But even in the cold weather and the rain, it's a lot of fun too. Would you guys agree?
Oh yeah.
All right. All right. So big supporters of this community, big supporters of the Heartland. You'll find them at a lot of the 5Ks supporting the events going on. They're doing great things in downtown E-Town. One of the first businesses that opened up a retail shop, I guess, a larger retail shop in this area over here. It's been great to watch it grow, and look forward to seeing what you guys do in the near future. All right, and you too, Maddie, and your 100-miler. I just said it right here on camera, 100-miler. Sound like a plan?
It sounds like a plan.
All right,
Let's
Madeline
do it.
Rivera, Will Rivera, Running Souls, downtown E-Town, and this is the Small Business Spotlight with Kentucky's Heartland.